Good morning, everybody. Rick Gorman and Scott Chandler with the Off the Clock podcast, episode 5. Ready to jump into another discussion. We're going to kind of freelance it a little bit this week. We'll just self-title this Where We're At. Again, we got some great feedback, as we always do. Going to talk a little bit about some feedback at some point during this. So we'll be bouncing all over the place, and we'll have our weekly brewery review and something else. So, Scott, episode 5, where we at?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about your mental health after the Spurs lost last night. How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, love this team. And again, I'm not going to use the excuse they're too young. Their coach is too young. But, you know, when they get away from doing what they were doing real well, I mean, the reality is the Spurs could be up 3-1. That's how good that team is, and they've been leading every game, big leads during the games, and just self-destruction from a basketball coaching standpoint, the basketball IQ from the head coach down to some of the players was mind-boggling. Mitch, who's a young coach, actually coached a very poor second half. D. Fox, he might be playing himself out of San Antonio, even with that big contract. Just brain cramp decisions, and obviously the biggest play, but that's not the reason why they lost. They lost because they gave up, 30-point lead. Wemby's getting a little frustrated, and, and the reality is Dylan Harper is arguably one of the best players on the floor, and he's not touching the ball in the fourth quarter. So a lot of things to look at, and as most people on social media said, no team comes back from something like this. I actually agree with the comment, but not for this team. I actually think the Spurs are extremely confident. They look at it as they should be up 3-1. They know they're not. And the reality is, I think Saturday night in San Antonio, I'd be surprised if it's not a big Spurs win. And then going back to New York, and quite frankly, a little pressure on the Knicks if we get to Game 6, because if it comes back to San Antonio, the San Antonio will come back from 3-1. What's your take from it, basketball savant?
Yeah, I'm just going to say I like last week where you kind of covered the bases for both teams. I think you said San Antonio in 6, but you wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won.
Yeah.
But that's kind of reminiscent of our pickup basketball, where you would kind of get the best player on your team and set picks
Chris
for him.
Madigan.
Yep, and he hits shots all night. Then you come back and say, hey, we kicked your ass, So
it's called roster construction, and I am a bit of a savant on that. And, listen, major respect for the Knicks coming back, but I do think you have to ask yourself, was that a real Knicks comeback or a complete Spurs implosion? Probably a little bit of both, but the Knicks are a likable team. Boy, are their fans the most horrendous fans in the world. Throwing an egg at hitting Wemby when he goes back to the hotel, and just they whine constantly about the refs, which, by the way, NBA refs sucks. It always has sucked. That's not the reason why any team's winning or losing. Reality being, the Knicks are a nice team. And again, I've said they're the hottest team. And reality is, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not going to win in 5, but I could see them winning in 6. But reality-wise, don't count out this Spurs team. Too young, they are fearless. They just got to be smarter.
Yeah, the shot selection was awful. I mean, reminiscent of the Celtics a little bit, right? They started heaving up threes a little bit. So
yeah, someone thought that Joe Mazzulla might have been coaching yesterday as they took 8 3-pointers in a row, didn't hit any of them, and 5 of them were within the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. Yeah, we definitely call that Mazzulla ball. But bad thing. Still had a chance to win it. As I said in my tweet last night, even George Niang, as a 12-year-old, would have handled that. D. Fox trying to go up against OG when you have a 1-point lead. As a 12-year-old, he would have handled that. So, yeah, let's look forward to Saturday night, see if the Spurs can keep this going, and head back to New York.
Yeah, I think I predict the Spurs win. I see this going 7, actually, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, again, we talk about it a lot. You've been an NBA guy longer than I've been an NBA guy. I used to be a big time just college guy, but NBA is taking some serious hits. But if you look at the numbers, Game 3 was the biggest watch game since 1998.
It's the Knicks. It's the Knicks.
Yeah, I
Knicks
think the Knicks have
they haven't
something
won
to
in
do with
50
that.
years, right? So.
Yeah, I think we're all sick and tired of seeing a lot of the famous people in the front row. I'd rather see what I call the real Knicks fans. But yeah, I mean, it's New York, right?
Yeah,
but,
is what it is.
So we'll see on that. But,
All right, so shifting gears, did you do anything out of your comfort zone this week? So in terms of retirement, did you do anything that was a little different, that kind of got your juices flowing a little bit? Anything good?
Yeah, a couple of things, and trying to do different things all the time. So I'm going to talk about two things. I'm a big library goer now. So Nevins Library in Methuen sent out a survey to people that be interested in being part of the human library. It was sent to me, and it was actually pretty interesting. If you have something to actually talk or present, they'd be interested in talking to you to be a human library, where you would be at the library maybe talking about something of your expertise. So I filled out the survey, wrote a number of areas that I think I would love to present on. So the human library, that would be out of my comfort zone, and the fact of, doing something a little different with that. Hopefully there'd be more than one or two people in the audience on it. But reality being, going to try that, see what it is. Thinking about really, connecting with some of the stuff that I'm still passionate about. I said the big thing was I had the great opportunity to head to the great state of Maine, the way life ought to be. I was up there Sunday to this morning, rushed down here for the podcast with you. And being up in Maine, I did a combination of a couple of things. I got to do some real manual labor and did a bunch of different projects, and complemented that with spending a lot of time at the beach. Love the beach. I know you like to go to the beach for like 35 minutes or whatever. And but yesterday I think I was at the beach for 6 hours and did a lot of exercising. Walked from Ferry Beach in Saco all the way down to Old Orchard Beach.
Doesn't look like you got a lot of sun, just as an observation.
Yeah, I think you got some glasses. I got a really good sun. It's actually accentuated by this white T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, too. A lot of compliments as I was walking into the podcast studio from people. Did you go away? You look great. So, yeah, probably more your eyesight issue. But
could be. Yeah,
so Maine was great. Little time to relax. Spent a lot of time reading. Reading a book that actually you would probably like. It's a guy that he's a guy that's actually got stage 1 esophageal cancer, and he's in pretty good shape. But he's doing a walk from pretty much Washington, D.C. to New York City, and he's actually doing an old route. So it's a lot of historical basis. They talk about a lot of Civil War stuff, there are a lot of little battlegrounds and different famous places as he's walking to New York. I actually thought about you because you're a history buff, and you kind of like that kind of stuff. And it's about the people he meets and stuff like that. So I did some reading and then spending a lot of time putting pen to paper on some of my writing projects. So yeah, a little out of the comfort zone with the human library, and then had a chance to really just get the heck out of Dodge here and get rejuvenated to a certain degree.
Yeah, have you ever read the book The Long Walk by Stephen King?
Yes, I have.
That's up in Maine, so I assume that's a different kind of walk.
Yeah, that's a different kind of. Have you read the book of Why They're Walking?
In the Stephen King? Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than the book I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, Stephen King is a Maine foundation. I do read a few of Stephen King's books, and he's obviously pretty eccentric dude, but he's great. He actually is very outspoken on lots of things. His big outspoken now is politics, but so shout out to Stephen King from Scott Chandler on
there we
that.
Go.
So how about you? Where you at?
Yeah, so I think last week I said I didn't do anything out of my comfort zone. This week, this isn't going to sound like it's a huge deal, but I actually went to a play with my wife in Cambridge. And first of all, driving in Cambridge during rush hour is, you forget how, and I know we're getting back in the driving theme, but driving is awful in Cambridge, right? And if you haven't been there recently, they have all these e-bike lanes and bike lanes, and the e-bikes go faster than the cars. I mean, it's amazing more people don't get killed there. It's insane. But anyhow, besides that, went to see a North Andover native, Paul Melindy, in a play
The
called...
famous Paul Melindy.
Yep, called The Mystery of Irma Vep. It was, I can't even describe the play. I can't tell you what happened. It was off the wall nuts. It was only two people who played like maybe 7, 8 characters. And it was crazy. And he was great in it. The acting was insane, but I couldn't follow the story. And I'm not very smart to start with, so that's part of it. But I was like, I looked at my wife, I go, what the heck's going on here? And she looked at me and she said, I don't know. But Paul was hilarious. I mean, he's such a good actor. Spot on. He was so good. But ended up being a good night. Went out to dinner before. Had a couple of beverages, a couple of IPAs before. So ended up being a great night. So.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked a lot about this. I know the Wildcats visualize you driving. I could see both hands on the wheel, stressful, you know, how am I going to get there? What am I, you know, stop signs.
Really, you know, you look down at Waze and it says 1 mile, 12 minutes. And you're sitting there going, is that possible?
Of course
and it was.
is.
1 mile, you're sitting at this life forever. And I'm looking at my wife saying, I don't know, man, we should go to the matinee next time.
Yeah. So obviously, we all know Paul Melindy, up and coming actor, been doing it for a long time, and you know, you with the driving, not knowing what the whole thing was about.
We've actually seen him in maybe 4 or 5. He was in one play called, I'm going to get this wrong, Feather Baby, and he got a lot of accolades for that, and it was one of the best plays I've ever seen. He plays a bird, and it's so good. It's so good.
It's good to see that you and your wife are Paul Melindy groupies.
We are.
You're
We are.
following
We
that.
are. We are.
But true to form, not a night out if you don't get a couple of IPAs. So where did you actually get those IPAs?
Yeah, I'm not going to remember the name of the place. It was right next to the theater. They had a little bluegrass band going. I didn't see our friend WB there, but they had a little bluegrass going. Had a couple of beers, and off to the play we went.
All right, so out of your comfort zone by going to a play.
Yeah.
These are things that us retired people do a little bit different. So, all right, what else? Anything going on this past week for you?
Yeah, I think I will relay one more story. So, and we're going to go back to the Y sauna. I was in which is a scary place to start with, but I was in the Y sauna, and this guy looks at me and he goes, "Are you doing a podcast?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "Is it about sports?" And I said, "Nope, it's about retirement." And when he said that, all of a sudden it sparked people's interest. There were like 5 people in the sauna. Guy next to me goes, "What's your biggest recommendation about retirement?" I said, "I'm no expert. I just do a podcast and I listen to a few." So, but then I gave him what I thought. And then the guy next to me goes, "I've been retired for 6 months. I love it. This is not a better decision I ever made." And it sparked the whole conversation in the Y sauna. So the Y sauna is a very interesting place.
All right, so the Y sauna has been mentioned a few times. A lot of people visualizing this right now, and you've been very clear of the different types of dress code in the sauna, but you bring up the podcast. Are they going to be active listeners? Did you tell them about the Off the Clock podcast, how to listen to it or anything like that?
I didn't say how to listen to it. The guy who asked me said he saw something online about it. I assume something you posted, I would guess, since I don't have any online. I'm not online at all. So I assume it came from something you posted would be what I get. But I didn't go specifically. The talk generated very quickly, and it was pretty active talk about retirement. So it was pretty funny.
So fill us in a little bit. I'm sure also that Cam, our studio here, has done a great job. I know they sent out a newsletter and lovely picture of me and you with the #1 top-rated podcast
I look
down
great.
here at Cam. So that could have been another way they heard about it too. So give us the skinny. You're in the sauna. Where does the conversation go?
Well, it really doesn't go much further than I just described. So just down that path, retirement. The guy said the guy who asked me about my opinion about what's the biggest hurdle about retirement. He said he's scared to retire because of the geopolitical atmosphere at this point, and you never know what's going to happen with the stock market. And I said, yeah, that's valid. Everybody has to. And I go, the fear of retirement is never going to leave you, I don't think, but you'll know when to pull the trigger, and you're probably not ready. So. That's all I said.
So do you see this will be a regular conversation at the in the sauna?
Nope. Didn't get brought up today at all. No.
Didn't get brought up today at all.
No.
Anything else you want to share about the YMCA sauna?
No, I think I'm good. I think that's enough.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Oh, wait, you had your son and grandchildren came to visit you so as being a retired guy, you obviously had some time. What was all that like?
No, it was great. Yeah. So they came in from South Carolina. They were up here for 4 or 5 days. I think the best takeaway was my grandson started his own podcast. They call me Pep, and he said, "Pep, hey, I started my own podcast," and I listened to an episode. And on the episode, he goes, yeah, he tells the kid he does it with. He's 12. And he said to the kid that the kid asked him, what is your grandfather's podcast about? And because my son had told him that his grandfather does a podcast. And he said, well, they talk about retirement and bars, I think. So that was pretty funny. So, but we inspired some youngsters to start their own podcast. So,
well, let's hope we didn't inspire them to start checking out the latest IPAs or anything.
He's very anti-drinking.
Okay.
He told me I'm going to live to 90 if I stop drinking. Otherwise,
all right. I don't disagree with your grandson.
Well, I told him. I said, dude, you're spot on.
Yeah. I mean, you keep trying to minimize how much how little you drink during the week, and then I have to remind you that you were there Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. So
I kind of forget what day of the week it is,
which is part of the aging process.
Age of drinking, yeah, maybe a combination.
Yeah, so we'll hear more about, I'm sure, IPAs when we talk about the brewery review. Hey, let's switch gears a little bit. Some of our feedback has been, we had a great comment from a good friend of ours through the Wildcat Run, Bob Dixon. I think Bob's actually a little older than us. I know he's a little older than me. Is he a little older than you?
Yeah, I think he's a couple of years older than me.
So he chimes in, sends me a great text, basically saying, hey, I never even listened to a podcast before. You're the first podcast, and kind of gave us kudos that we've actually in the first 4 episodes have given him something to think about in terms of retirement. I think his time frame is like in the next year or two, but he thought that some of the conversations that we've had has made him think about different things. And he did talk a little bit, honestly, about how important friendships and stuff. So it's always good to get a comment from something that at least we're getting people to at least think about stuff. So some of the other responses we got too said, some of the things that you guys talk about, talk about your exercise. Like an exercise can be so many different things. So let's touch a little bit about, and we've talked a little bit about this. Let's a little more of a deeper dive of what exercise is, or what movement is, or the importance of, staying active. So in the world of Scott Chandler, take us through. I know you go to the Y, but talk a little bit more about everything else you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of boring, but I go to the Y every day. I do I'll do either the bike or the elliptical. And I will lift weights every other day, if you want to call it. We've gone down this path before. If you want to call it lifting weights, but I'll do, again, that will take 5 minutes. I'll do my 3 sets of 5, whatever it is. Then I'll go work out. And for me, it's all mental. I get the physical benefits, but it puts me in a routine. I actually enjoy going to the Y every day. Some days, like anything, you kind of dread exercising, but most days I don't. And I think it mentally helps me. It puts me in a routine. And then I'll come home and I'll take the famous bath, tubby, I think you call it. And then I'll go for a walk, listen to a podcast, go for a 4 or 5 mile walk. And then I'll see where the day goes from there. But that's kind of my routine. And I think it really does help me mentally. If I fall out of that routine, I actually don't feel right. I feel like I'm not right for the day. I mean, I can't remember the last day I took a day off, and I'm not saying that that's not smart. I get that's not smart. That's counterproductive, I think, to my health sometimes, but it's like I'm addicted. I have that addiction a little bit to exercise, and I have that kind of personality anyhow, a little bit of addictive behavior, a little bit, I think. So how about you?
Let me stay with you for a second.
Sure.
So you've always been we kind of joke about a little bit. You're a little bit of a psycho. And when I met you when you were in your 30s and 40s, you always had pretty much a regimen on that. How has exercise changed in retirement, because I got to think you have a little more time. Is that where you're not running as much as you before? As we used to say, you're not shuffling anymore because you weren't down the stretch was not much of a runner, but you've done the walking now, and listen to a podcast and everything else. Why did you go to was just simply I'm not running anymore, I might as well do some walking?
Yeah, so if there are a couple of podcasts I like to listen to just to catch up on current events, whatever it is, retirement podcasts. So instead of just sitting on the couch listening to them, I'll go for a walk. So, and I don't quote unquote power walk, whatever that means. But I'll walk at a decent pace, and I don't do it for a workout. I just do it to do something constructive while I'm listening to the podcast. So I think that helps me out. That routine helps me out. That puts me in a routine. So to me, it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think you have a little bit in that too, where you've gotten into a little bit of routine at the what's the name of your club?
It's the famous Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness,
in Lawrence,
yes.
Mass.
I think most people would prefer the Y to Planet Fitness. No, is that what's more popular?
Well, Planet Fitness is more popular in the terms there's just so many of them everywhere, right?
Yeah, and it's relatively cheap, right?
Yeah, it's relatively cheap,
Yeah.
and when I was up in Maine this weekend, I didn't, but I could have gone to the Planet Fitnesses up there and everything else. So I don't think it doesn't have a sauna, but it has a lot of other gadgets that are pretty good. So what did with me with retirement, it definitely allowed me more time that I got really committed to that. Because remember, I basically had my own personal gym at the youth center. But what sucked about it was, I'd be on the treadmill, the elliptical, the bike, and, every 10 minutes someone's asking me a question or someone's walking in. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, and disrupting. So the best thing with me, with the wonderful Planet Fitness membership, was that it's just my time, and I carved out. And I haven't, with the real good weather that's happening recently, I'm not there every day. For the first probably close to 3 months, I was there every single day and was recognized by the manager there for my attendance.
Did you get an award?
I didn't. I said I asked if there was any kind of monetary thing for it, but it was more like, no, just recognize, and you can keep track on the
Did
app.
you get your picture on the wall?
I did not. They do not have pictures on the wall.
That's too
but
bad.
I keep track about it because it does have a pretty good app on the whole thing. So there was the traditional hey, I got more time to work out, and I'm going to do that. I've kind of taken it a little bit more. As you know, I like to walk and I like to hike, right? So, and what's a hike? Is a hike climbing a mountain, or is a hike in some of our state forests? Those are things that I'm doing more of. But I do a ton of walking for some of the same reasons. I'll throw the headphones on and listen to a podcast or listen to, music big time, because that actually really kind of soothes me and calms me on that whole thing. But I'm looking to, delve into some other things. So thinking about, I can't see you doing it, but maybe you will. Reading a lot about Tai Chi and what Tai Chi can do, not only for physical health, but also mental health. So,
I probably won't read that. You are correct.
Because again, it's out of your comfort zone. You're not willing to try something that actually might be really good for you. And as you age, one of the big things I know you do believe in this is balance. So what are you doing to help with your balance? And I actually put that into my workout. I don't know if you do or not. I mean, can you actually stand on one leg for a minute?
I try every now and then. I really can't.
Every now and then.
Every now and then I'll try. And there was some machine that I think somebody had recommended to us that shakes a lot when you get on it. Yeah. I tried that for a few times, and I was like...
Yeah, I knew it was never going to work for you.
No, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
What are those things called?
It's the vibration plates.
Yeah, they're kind of like the big fad now, right?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of it has to do with lymphatic fluid and moving, and a lot of the stuff. And you can just go. And again, this, by the way, for our listeners,
is that a nicer term for fat, lymphatic fluid?
No.
Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with really flat. It's basically getting your lymphatic fluid moving. But it's something that there's some people that I think they think it's a workout, and if you just do the vibration plate, you'll be fine. No, it's a complementary thing. I actually used it to get ready to go work out and stuff, or even after working out, and you're on there for whatever, 10 minutes or whatever. But going back more to the balance type thing is a lot with as we age. We got to start looking at balance, and there's a lot of stuff we haven't got into the whole, in terms of Alzheimer's and everything else that people, get concerned about as we age. One of the biggest things is, some of your balance and that. And people talk about this, like you need to really do this even younger age than we're at.
Yeah, I watch Survivor, and I look at some of the challenges they have to go through, and a lot of it is balancing. And I'm saying to myself, man, I'd be up there like a half a second, I'd be gone.
Yeah,
so my balance isn't great.
Yeah, I couldn't
it's
see.
Not awful,
I couldn't
not
see you on a log roll. I think you'd just.
Yeah, I think most people our age probably wouldn't do the log roll.
Yeah.
No offense.
Maybe I'll practice that.
Yeah,
and see
that'd
if
be
I
good.
can
That'd
stay
be
up with that. And then the big thing is weight training. You and I laugh about this a lot. And again, your weight training is kind of comical. But, one of the big things that I'm hearing from anybody are our cardiologist that we both share is a big believer in strength training. And if you listen to any podcast these days or anything around, there's so much literature about that. In 30 years ago, people said you shouldn't be weight training at our age, and now it's basically
I think
why aren't you?
I think heavyweights, right?
I don't think we have to sit there and squat X amount of pounds, but doing something probably a little bit more than your rep schedule. But I just think you hate it. And
I think I'm pretty jacked myself. Did you see the picture of the podcast? I look pretty good, dude.
No. By the way, folks, he is wearing, this is the 5th straight episode, he's wearing the same pair of cargo shorts. I have informed him, though, cargo shorts actually, if people don't know, went out of style about 10 years ago, but they're actually making a big comeback. So
thanks to me.
Scotty is going to continue with that. No, I would never say you were jacked, a little flabby on the arms, but you are going to do it with your 5 reps or whatever. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, is it just that you don't like strength training?
No,
the documentation says we should be doing strength training.
Absolutely.
So are you going to do it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not going to do it more. I'm going to keep doing my 3 sets of 5 reps. I mean, I will do that every other day, but I'm not gonna do more than that. And I know I should.
Right.
I mean, I should probably not do cardio every day, right? I think the smart thing would be do cardio maybe 5 days a week and do weights too. I mean, that'd be the smart thing to do. I know that. I read all that stuff, but I just can't. I can't do it mentally, right? I just can't do it. So
last week I got out twice on the lake again. As most people know me, was a big kayaker for many years, and got out on the lake. And actually, for me, that is a strength workout for your arms. Trying to find different alternative things that can also help with the strength. And then there's just stuff like this week up in Maine doing a lot of manual labor. I mean, if you listen to all the things on blue zones and stuff like that across the world, a lot of people, 2 big things. They walk all the time uphill. And number 2, that they do some kind of lifting, whether that mean lifting, logs or bricks or something like that.
You can't just walk uphill, though, by definition.
You would have to come down the hill.
You have to come down the hill eventually.
Good catch. But yes, elevation is important. That's why, we'd like to see you on the treadmill with a little bit higher of the elevation. If you can do that.
I did walk with the grandkids up Ware Hill. Then we shot over to Osgood Hill.
Yeah.
That's a really nice hike.
Yeah, that's.
I'd never been to the top of Osgood where you overlook the lake.
Yeah, the day that you called me because you had a conniption because the Y wasn't going to be open till the afternoon on Easter, I actually gave you that route. I told you go to Wire Hill over to Osgood Hill. It's actually a nice.
I was actually looking for an invite. You never invited me.
Well, I wasn't doing that day, but that was you just having a little moment that the Y. And I actually filed a complaint with the Y, like you got to get open on Easter morning for Scott Chandler.
As did I.
So when you
the Y does a great job. I don't want to.
Oh no! Yeah.
They do a great job.
Yeah, the Y is great. So when you think about exercise, are you open? I mean, you kind of rolled your eyes with my Tai Chi thing. Like,
I don't roll my eyes. It's just not. Honestly, I don't. I mean, my son-in-law and one of my grandsons big into karate, both black belts. that's just not going to be my thing, right? And they love it. They
So
talk
would you
about it.
try
They're great.
anything else that would be movement exercise? Or are you just stuck with that? Because I'm just thinking, like, at our age, with the time, wouldn't we look at more stuff like that?
I move on the elliptical. I move on the bike.
All right, can we just get away from the non? Would you be interested in doing any kind of non-traditional movement, exercise, strength training, or is it just
Ballet dancing? I'm not going to do that. I mean, I know I might be okay at it, but I'm not going to do it.
You in a tutu would be that would be a sight.
Yeah, maybe as a group thing. Like if everybody, you know what I would try, and I did for a while, was hot yoga.
Hot yoga, yeah.
That actually wasn't bad,
Yeah.
and I did that for maybe for a month or so, and then I just stopped doing it. But that would be beneficial, right? My muscles are tight anyhow, so that would be very beneficial. But yeah, so I wouldn't be opposed to that, but yeah.
Yeah, yoga is something that, we've both done it periodically. And I did the hot yoga once. Boy, that was actually tough, and that was probably 15 years ago.
And it was like it was 90 minutes. The one I did was 90-minute classes, which were crazy.
I almost fainted when I left. But yoga
I don't know why that's funny, but that's a little funny.
Yeah. Yoga in particular, though, I've been reading a lot about that, and I think trying something to do that. I mean, I am a little concerned about the flexibility piece. Although with this brand new hip I got 3 years ago, I'm extremely flexible. How's your hip going, by the way?
It's great. My hip's fine.
Yeah, you're still denying that you walk with a limp, but
as I limp down the hall. Yep.
But I really think my surgeon's great. So if you ever think about, I know you had your
I
eval.
had my evaluation.
Okay, all right. So what else for people that are retired? We've stressed the importance of exercise, movement. What are some other things that you actually made fun of this in a way? But you do a lot of crossword puzzles, Sudoku. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, and again, nothing in puzzles. Do like I think right now my wife and I are working on a 750-piece puzzle. I just like that stuff. I've always liked Sudoku. I've always liked crossword puzzles. I'm not very good at like my wife can do the New York Times crossword, and that gets progressively harder during the week. She's very good at that. I can do Monday and Tuesday New York Times. Then it gets really sketchy after that. I do the Globe one almost every day, but to me it's just a mental exercise that I don't know if it helps, it doesn't help. I think.
Do you like it, or
no,
are you kind of going with the fact that a lot of people are suggesting people like us do more of that?
No, I enjoy it, and my wife and I are a little competitive with it. So if she gets jumble, I get a little angry, vice versa. So I would say she's a little better at puzzles than I am. Overall.
Yeah.
But there'll be the odd day where I get jumble and she doesn't, and I'm pretty proud of myself. So.
And what the puzzle that you're doing? How many pieces again?
We did a couple of 500 pieces. Now we're up to 750.
And what is the puzzle actually of?
I don't even know. I think it's just a picture on a lake with a couple of birds and
cover,
stuff.
By the way.
Yeah, but that's cheating. My mother
looking at the picture?
When you do a puzzle, you can't look at the cover.
Okay.
But my wife will look at the cover. I accuse her of cheating. So
I think it's okay to look at the cover once. So.
Yeah.
All right. So but we agree that those are things that can help with memory, mind, and everything else. And
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it really helps. Does it? But I just enjoy doing them. So.
I'd like
Can't
to get
hurt.
somebody in on, and again, I know we've promised guests. I think we're close to getting our first guest coming up next episode. But, maybe it would be good to have someone who's an expert on that type of stuff, because everywhere I hear about this stuff, they do suggest doing it. So there has to be some evidence-based stuff that it works.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I always have a book going. I think you always have a book going. I just finished Bowling Alone, which goes with our original theme of loneliness and friendship, which was a deep dive into that. The problem with that book was it was written in, I think it was done in 1995 or something. They did an update to it, but it's kind of, a lot of the information wasn't totally irrelevant, but it was old, so. But it was an interesting book. It just reinforced a lot of stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
Now I'm onto a history book. But
will that person be an appropriate person for the co-ed bowling league if you were to invite him?
Well, I mean that was part of the theme of the book actually. Why have bowling leagues basically? And the stats are incredible. Like 70% of the people in the 50s belonged to. It was an incredible number. I had to read it. I go, is that crazy? And now that's a thing of the past. I mean, outside of me, do you know anybody in a bowling league?
Um,
Probably not.
I guess I don't know if I
Yeah.
do or I don't.
Yeah,
I
so,
know
but-
people
but-
bowl, but
But in the 50s, the whole neighborhood would probably go bowling together. So that whole feeling of community is kind of passe, and he goes into a deep dive of that, which is pretty cool.
okay.
But anyhow, I've moved on to another book now.
Oh, good.
Yep.
How many books are you reading a month now?
I mean, the bowling alone was pretty thick. So
It was a thick book?
Yeah, that took me about 3 weeks. So hopefully I'll get through this next book, and it's pretty big, about 3 weeks.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a fast reader,
Not a fast reader
and
at all.
I don't retain much, so that's 0 for 2.
That's actually not surprising. Now, last thing about movement and stuff, I talked a little bit again, and this is stuff that I know you hate, but I love doing some manual labor, yard work, stuff around the house type thing. Any interest from you on that in the importance of like movement, or is it like, nah, I mean, I'll find other ways to exercise, but I'm not raking leaves or something like that.
Well, I think that's why they have landscapers.
Yeah, so
That's why. Yeah.
you're paying for the service. You're not doing it yourself.
Yeah, I'm not a big yard work guy, and you see my yard. There's not a, it is what it is. It's not one of those lawns that's immaculate by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
It has some nice moss in the front yard, and we've kept the moss there. So
Yeah.
no, I'm not a big yard guy, and I'm not not against it. Just not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm throwing that out is obviously some evidence based that's actually a good thing for people to get out and move
Yeah,
to.
like
and-
gardening or something.
Yeah. Did you ever did your wife have a garden or anything over on Winter Street?
I don't think we ever had a garden.
No.
I think she planted some flowers, and
Right.
I didn't have much of a say in that, other than what are those things? That's about no. So never grew any vegetables or anything.
Maybe down the road we'll have we'll talk a little about some therapeutic things like a garden or other things that can kind of keep us busy with that. So, all right, let's jump into the weekly Scott Chandler Brewery update.
Yeah. So actually, I'm shifting gears a little bit this week. It's actually not going to be a brewery, but it's going to be a spot, and I'll make this quick. But it's going to be a spot that has the best draft list I think I've ever seen. It's called Great American Beer Hall. It's in Medford.
Does it have IPAs?
The list of IPAs is insane.
Insane.
I've said insane a lot today, right? I think that's the word of the day. They have, so currently on their IPA list, they have beers from, and if anybody's a big IPA guy, they'll know some of these breweries. Kettlehead, Equilibrium, Hills Farmstead, Vitamin C, Long Live Beer Works, Bissell Brothers, Lamplighter, and they even have more than that. So it's an incredible list. They also, on the lighter side, they have some big breweries too. They have Notch, they have Schilling, which is up in Littleton, New Hampshire. So they run the gamut. And the thing is that at night, I think it tends to be younger people, and they do some things to attract younger people at night, like a DJ playing. I don't even know what the new music is referred to, but it wouldn't be something that our age group probably generally listens to. But to go during the day, and I know Medford's kind of tough, but to go, and they're open at noontime, I think, but to go during the day, it's a great spot to have a beer. It's a lot of big TVs for sports. The food's good. They have nachos, pizza. So it's a good spot, real good spot. So I would highly recommend checking that out.
All right. Why do you get a little anxious every time you talk about like going into anywhere near the city?
Yeah, maybe it's PBS.
You worked in the city. Like, is it just so? I got to know, is that more of an age thing, or you just always been a wacko about like, close parking and it's going to take me too long to get there? I mean, you made it sound like Medford was New York City.
Just now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I do have a little bit of that in me. There's no question about it. And again, I don't know if it's PTSD from years of driving into Boston, because when I worked in Boston, my wife and I would never go in. She would say, "Hey, let's go into Boston to go see this group at the whatever theater," and I would say, "I don't want to drive into Boston. I do that every day. I have no desire to do that." And I'm a big Red Sox fan. I know, God help me, but even going into Fenway Park, the parking is a hassle. Getting out's a hassle. It's just I think at this point in my life, I prefer to watch it on TV, and that's definitely an age
So
thing.
that's an age.
I used to love going to the park, and one of my best friends has season tickets, and he'll invite me every now and then. I said, dude, I'll pay for everything. Well, he doesn't make me pay for the ticket, but I'll pay for everything else if you drive in. So he drives in, I pay for the parking and whatever.
So when you head up to Portland, where you get right on the highway, and Portland's easy to get into, that's a stress thing for you. But if I said to you,
Portland's not a stress thing.
that's what I'm saying. It's not a stress thing.
Right.
But if I said to you, we got to go in and check out this band in Somerville, and I need you to drive, you're just not. You're not down for that.
Well, think of what happened when we went to. What time did we? Swampscott.
We went to Swampscott.
Yeah.
Not an easy to get into.
That
but
was fine. Although you had me parked.
Wait.
You told me to park in a restricted zone. I was lucky my car didn't get towed.
That was a stressful drive for me. I'm riding shotgun, and it's just like, hey, there's a car coming. There's a car coming.
Again, my voice.
Yeah.
But who drove?
You drove.
Yeah. You still. Even though you hate driving with me, you still make me drive everywhere.
Yeah, it was tough getting in the little Matchbox, but yeah, I mean, I just and I know Waterboy will back me up on this. You are I think I said you were a stressful driver. You used another word, but I
said emotional. I don't know if that captures
emotional.
it correctly too.
That's why it's a lot of feedback around what it must have been like you heading down to South Carolina with heavy traffic. But
actually, that wasn't. And I'll reiterate, that wasn't bad. But the coming back in the rainstorm was bad. Yeah. Okay. Let's not talk about that again. I get emotional.
I can tell.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna finish today with. I say this all the time, all right, and I probably say it too much, but we have been welcoming the feedback and really want people's feedback. So Scott has his way of hearing feedback, usually from the small group of people that he connects with. I'm getting more of the feedback on social media as well as obviously the people I know. And we talk about this good feedback, bad feedback, maybe some ugly feedback. How are you taking the feedback that we're getting, and how do you think we're handling the feedback and as we try to evolve this podcast?
I think we handle it well. I mean, one of my friends, again, told me to stop doing it. He goes, just stop doing it, dude. It's time. And I said, okay, maybe
you're right. Was
this
the same one that told you should never do it?
Yeah.
So why did he say stop doing it?
I'm going to see him tonight, so I'm going to find out tonight specifically what his issues are. He's not one to talk about your feelings, so I'm sure the thing about loneliness and the thing about he's tapping out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
will you call him out on that, or you just?
No, I'm just interested. I know him well. I'm just interested in his perspective.
Oh, I want his perspective. I want to hear it, but my question back at him, and not try to be a ball buster, because I think I know who you're talking about, but it'd be more like, well, tell me why is this hard for you?
Yeah, and
those are his issues. I look at it.
Yeah, I want to know what he's thinking. Then I sent it to another friend. He said he'd listen and give me feedback, and that was maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm still waiting for feedback, so I assume he didn't love it.
Yeah,
that's my guess. But I'll when I see him, I'll ask him about that as well.
Yeah,
but I've also had some positive feedback too. So.
I think we have. Well, first of all, I'll say
I've had some negative,
our positive feedback far outweighs the negative feedback. But I enjoy the feedback because I just think it helps us put out a better product, hopefully. And at some point in time, just like I said at episode 1, if people stop listening completely, we'll close up shop and do something else, I guess. But, I want people to continue to do it. And I think people do get a little concerned they might hurt your feelings or my feelings, where the reality here is that, I want to know, are we reaching people? Are we not reaching people? The fact that it was brought up in the YMCA sauna, that's a positive. That that text that we got from our good friend Bob last week, that was vindication that, we're actually doing something, or people are getting something out of it. Again, I don't think we have all the answers on everything, but it's actually been pretty good with that. So what do you say to our listeners? Is there anything you want to say to our listeners?
I think my feelings are pretty much incapable of being hurt. I'm not a sensitive guy at all, so I could care. It doesn't matter to me. It matters to me what they say based on, but from an emotional standpoint, it's nothing anybody says is going to bother me at all.
Okay.
Unless they, say something about my grandkids, which they might. But
Oh, I think
that'd be crossing
kids
the
and
line.
grandkids would be crossing the line.
yeah,
But you seem to be very comfortable. One of your first concerns about doing this was your radio voice, and how are you handling that?
Well, I think better than you. I mean, you've mocked my voice like maybe 15 times, on the air.
I don't think it's been 15 times, but sometimes it's easy. I just want to exaggerate it a little bit of the Scott Chandler voice.
Yeah.
But so as we wrap up episode 5, again, we're trying to do this every week, but we got you got a vacation coming up again soon.
Not real soon. Nope. I think the next one is July.
July. Okay.
Early July. Yep.
So we'll try to keep this
going
going.
up to Maine, Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor. Oh, that's right. That's your annual trip up to Bar Harbor, which brings back memories of when you were a kid going.
Yeah, we
to
rent
Bar
the same
Harbor,
place
right?
that we rented when I was a kid. Yep, a little. Yep, it's called Indian Point up in Bar Harbor. Absolutely beautiful. Yep.
Nice. And
it's isolated. It's a rare spot. Really cool.
So you'll probably be bringing up your own IPAs, or is there a place to go get IPAs?
I'll probably bring up a few. Yeah, kind of on the lighter side. I'll bring a few light, not the heavy 8.0, 8.5s. Yeah, there's a whole strategy here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so as we wrap up episode 5, we touched on a few subjects today. I guess the little suggestion is everybody should keep moving, keep exercising, as for everybody. But as we get into retirement life and a lot more free time, it's really important on that. Any wrap-up points from you there, Scotty?
No, I think we're good. I think we're ready to rock and roll.
All right, I'm Rick Gorman, he's Scott Chandler, and we are off the clock.
Thanks, guys.
Well, my soul checked out missing as I said.